Hey everyone, this is Shannie from Baker Creek, and today I'm going to tell you what crops you can grow in the month of August. Now, we're here in the Missouri Ozarks, which is about a zone 6, and these recommendations are really most ideal for anyone who's growing between a zone 5 and a zone 7 or 8. But if you grow in a zone warmer, a zone cooler, just be sure to do a bit of your own research and maybe add or subtract a bit of time to really hit your window correctly. But I'm speaking to the most of the middle part of the country when I'm talking about growing in August. So some of our biggest challenges of growing in August are just going to be to keep the ground and keep your planting area nice and cool as the plants establish. Once that cooler weather sets in and once you get consistent moisture, plants are going to flourish. They're going to grow really easily. So just be sure to focus on finding cooler microclimates in your garden, establishing a good irrigation system where plants are getting consistent moisture, and using mulch. All are going to help you to keep a more consistent and balanced climate for your crops to get established in. And then once the weather cools off, they're going to take off. It's going to be beautiful. So here are my picks for planting in August. Komatsuna is going to grow beautifully during the heat of the summer and then the cooler weather through the fall. It's the most versatile crop growing wise. It's this beautiful Asian green. Maybe you've never tried it before. It's not as common as it really should be. It's got a really nice, mild, sweet, lightly spicy flavor. It can only be described as complex. It's beautifully balanced. The culinary potential is astounding. Eat it raw, you can cook it up. It goes with a million different applications. And what's great about it is it's easy to grow. It's going to produce these beautiful big leaves with this really nice complex flavor, and it thrives in all kinds of weather. So grow it in a greenhouse, grow it outdoors. You can really try it in any application, and it's going to bring these really nice kind of lightly pungent, sweet notes to whatever dish you want it to. So August is when you're going to want to get those carrot seeds in the ground. Carrots are my #1 favorite fall crop, but they do take a bit of skill to get them past the germination point. That's because you're sowing them in August when it's super hot, and they do not love to germinate in the super heat. So what you want to do is make sure and keep the soil nice and moist for carrots. You can cover the freshly sown carrot seed bed with maybe a wooden board or anything to cast a bit of shade. You can situate your carrot planting in a bit of natural shade in your garden. But what you're really going to want to do is make sure that those seeds don't dry out. That's the real challenge with carrots. Once you get them germinated and established, they're actually really easy to grow, and they are going to sweeten up and be candy sweet in the fall. So get them past that tricky little germination phase in August, and then let them just cruise until you harvest them after the first fall frost. Because once they get exposed to frost, they get even sweeter. They're amazing. And this variety I have here is called Oxheart, and it's a super thick carrot. So maybe you have a nice raised bed like these with light fluffy soil for good carrot production, and you don't necessarily need something like Oxheart. But if you don't, if you have harder soil or if you have rocky soil, if you've had trouble growing long carrots before, try Oxheart, because it's going to just blast right through that difficult soil and give you a beautiful carrot no matter how heavy that soil is. So bunching onions are another great choice for planting out in August. They're going to fill your fall diet with lots of pungent onion flavor, and it's going to boost your immune system because it's got that pungent quality to it. Shi Ko Bunching Onions are super easy to grow. This is a great choice for a cold frame if you want to plant it out even a little bit later. They grow really nicely in a cold frame, or you can just really stuff them into any kind of partially shaded part of your garden. They appreciate a bit of dappled shade in the hotter part of the season. So find yourself a little shady piece of the garden and try Shi Ko Bunching. They're lovely. So I want to introduce one of my absolute favorite flowers, Calendula. Why do I love Calendula? Well, because it's beautiful, but mostly because it actually has pest repelling qualities. So I like to plant it in my August garden so it can help to ward off some of those pests later in the season. And this variety in particular, Resina, it's actually the strongest calendula variety in terms of medicinal properties. And yes, this is also a medicinal plant. People make salves and healing salves and things like that with Resina calendula. So grow it to ward off pests, to add a little beauty to your fall garden. This is an awesome fall kind of pumpkin-y orange color, and you can use it for medicinal purposes as well. And another bonus, calendula petals are actually edible, so that's why I love this plant. I remember the first time I saw kohlrabi, I had no idea what I was looking at. It looks like some sort of alien life form. It's a totally funky plant. What it is, it's a brassica. It's related to cabbage and cauliflower and to Brussels sprouts, and you really grow it for this big swollen stem. It's a little bit easier to grow than some of the other brassicas, which is a reason that I love it. This variety in particular gets really, really big. You can harvest it when it's small, or you can let it get to this really big size. But the great news is it's an awesome variety for storing for longer periods of time, and it stays super tender and buttery even as the stems get really, really big. You can make an entire meal out of just one of these. So try some kohlrabi, treat it like the rest of the brassicas that I've been talking about. So start it indoors, keep it cool, and then transplant it out into the garden afterwards, and make sure to keep it well watered. A great crop to start indoors in August is cabbage. You're going to want to start it indoors because you're going to be able to baby the crop a little bit better and keep it cool and keep it moist, rather than if you were to direct sow it in the hot August sun in your garden. So start these inside, start them in pots, and then transplant them out to the garden when they're about this tall, a few inches tall, and more established. It's key to keep your cabbages well watered until they're really established and growing. During this hot beginning part of the growing season for them in August, it might be dry and they're not going to like that. It's going to really stress the plants out. So keep them well watered. Providing a few layers of mulch is going to really, really help. So give them a bit of mulch, keep them well watered, maybe using a drip hose, whatever you need to do. But keeping your cabbage well watered is going to be a recipe for success. Then they're going to just cruise along until they mature in the fall. And I love these heads on this variety, Kalibos, the pointed heads. They're so beautiful. Customers keep sending in these phenomenal photos. It's one of the most eye-catching varieties I've ever seen. And they're just going to sweeten up for fall. So you're going to have beautiful slaws, sauerkraut, or it's just a great cooking cabbage, whatever you want to do with it. And it's going to really sweeten up as those first fall frosts come in. So you don't want to miss out on growing beets. This is one of my favorite crops of all time. I just love the earthy flavor. Chioggia is a really good variety if you're not into the super earthy beet flavor because it's a little bit more mild. Market gardeners love this variety because it's got those beautiful concentric rings. People really, really respond well to this one. And also the beet greens on this one are really, really mild and tasty. So as far as a variety that's excellent for fall, Chioggia is #1. I love this variety for fall. And then growing beets is actually really, really easy this time of year. You just got to keep them cool and well watered when they're first germinating. But once they take off, they're quite easy to grow, and they're going to sweeten up fantastically by fall. If you let them get exposed to just a little bit of frost, they're going to convert some starches to sugars. They're going to taste super sweet. And this is also a great storage crop. They're going to last a long time if you store them properly. So it's great to start your broccoli indoors in August. You're going to want to get the plants established in pots, maybe trays, cell trays, whatever you can find. And then once they're about a few inches tall, you can transplant them out into the garden. The key with good broccoli is to keep it well watered. Don't let this plant get exposed to drought. Keep it well watered. Maybe adding a few inches of mulch will really, really help. Using drip tape is really helpful. That's a drip watering system that's just going to consistently provide moisture, and it's not going to give a bunch of excessive moisture on the leaves. It's going to just keep that moisture right at the root system. Broccoli is super easy to grow once it's established and if you give it enough water. And once you harvest that first head, it's actually going to produce tons of little side shoots. And when this gets exposed to cool weather, it just gets more and more sweet. So don't worry about letting it get hit by a light frost. It's actually going to do tremendously well after being hit by a light frost. So parsley is one of the most densely nutritious dark greens that you can grow, and it loves cool weather. So planting it in August is going to give it some time to mature because parsley does take a little while to germinate. But once it gets going, it's a very easy crop and it loves cool weather. And you're going to get these beautiful dark green sauces. You can blend it up into beautiful sauces, use it as a garnish. There's so many different uses for parsley, and it's really one that I recommend just sneaking into your winter diet, your fall diet as much as possible because it is deeply nutritious. So be sure to plant through the month of August. There's so much potential and you're going to reap the benefits throughout the entire fall season. It's so incredibly rewarding. Some takeaway tips: don't forget to keep your soil nice and cool and your plants well watered. At the very beginning of their growing stage in August, the plants might be stressed out, so give them whatever support you can, if that means drip tape or just getting out into your garden and hand watering as much as possible. But keep those plants nice and cool. Don't forget to add a layer of mulch. Mulch is going to conserve water and it's going to keep the soil temperature from extreme fluctuation. So mulch, keep your plants nice and watered. In order to keep your pests down, because you may find that your pest pressure is very high in August, you may consider things like netting or floating row cover, or you may have to do a bit of organic approved spraying. Whatever you have to do, be sure to keep those pests at bay at the early part of the season. Maybe it means interplanting some things like calendula and marigold in your garden to keep the pests at bay. So keep your pest pressure down, don't skimp on the mulch, and be sure to keep your plants nice and cool as they're getting established, and don't skimp on the watering. And good luck, and you guys are gonna have a beautiful crop for the fall.